thanks for coming on a Sunday. I appreciate a little different routine, and really appreciate you guys coming. Game week's finally here. Week 1 of 2017 is finally here. Very excited about it. We've got a great opponent coming to town, and excited to go watch our football team and see the improvement that we've been able to make from last year to this year. Excited for training camp to be over as much as anything. It's been a long training camp, 4 weeks, longer than any training camp that any of us have been a part of with the new NCAA rules, and looking forward to going to play somebody else other than beating on each other every day in practice. Just talking about Washington quickly, it's a very good football team, very talented football team, and a football team with a lot of experience coming back from last year's Final Four team. Hopefully Rutgers fans and students and just college football fans in general here in this region will show out big on Friday night. It's not a traditional team that will probably make a return trip here to New Jersey or Rutgers in the future. And if you want to watch a good football team and a good football game, I think it'd be a great environment to come and be a part of. There's a lot of fun activities that the administration has planned outside the stadium, in the stadium, and hoping to provide a great experience for people that show up. So hopefully it's a great turnout, should be, with the type of team that we have coming in to play us, and the type of team that we hopefully have showing up for Rutgers. Just looking at our team coming from training camp, we've met several times, talked several times. It's been a very productive training camp. I've said this before, this is a different football team than what we had last year in a lot of regards. We have different players, we have new coaches, we have different players. We have certain phases of our of offense, defense, and special teams where you look on the film from early in last season, we'll have completely 11 new different players out there than what would have played in this game a year ago. So I'm excited to watch these guys go out and play. We have transfers, we have freshmen, and haven't been around them on game day, so excited to see how they go out and handle that moment and that spotlight, so to speak, Friday night with being on national television. It's a lot of unknowns also, so there's excitement, there's unknowns that we have to see how they handle it when we get to game day. But with that, I'll just go ahead and open up the questions and see what you guys have.
Chris, you talked about the fans. How important is the atmosphere here going to be, just not only from a point of energizing your team, but disrupting a very good offense?
Anytime you go and play a football game, you'd like to have a great environment. I don't care who the opponent is. You want to create a home field advantage, and the fans are a big part of that. And I do think, though, that having a team like Washington come does excite the fan base. And it just excites college football fans in general to have a team of that caliber. They had the success that they've had last year coming to town. Again, if you're a college football fan, you'd like to go watch a game like that. But home field advantage is very important in every single game. And, our goal is, and we've talked a lot about this, is to be able to create the same type of environment every home game, regardless of who we're playing.
Chris, how do you feel about the quarterback position, and specifically Kyle, since you made that decision and you get to see him work so much for once?
Well, I hope I feel good. I mean, he's our starting quarterback, and I'd be crazy if I stood up here and told you I don't feel really good about my starting quarterback. Would be probably a bad thing. Kyle has been very impressive in a short time here. The summer, obviously he got voted as a captain. It's because of what he did in the summer. In the early part of training camp, he's provided great leadership, and probably what the coaching staff and the players respect about him more than anything is his work ethic. He has been a relentless worker since he's gotten on campus, and he's earned the respect of the players and the staff because of that. He's constantly studying the film, constantly talking to other offensive players about what they need to do. Out on the field, he's a coach on the field. He can tell basically all the other players where to go, how to line up, what their responsibilities are, and that's pretty special when you have those things. Now he's got to do it on game day. We have no idea how he will handle game day. The good thing is, though, that he has played on game day, and he's played well, and he's played at big games before. So we're excited to watch him go play, and I'm glad he's here. He's created a great competition at the quarterback position for us. He's I think elevated the play of some others around him. And just the leadership and the work ethic that the kid has demonstrated and brought to our offense has been outstanding so far.
Chris, who won the kicking competition, and how confident are you in that phase of the game?
When you say kicking competition,
the place kicking, yeah, field goals.
It's not. It has not been finalized yet.
Okay, is that a good thing, bad thing? I know you.
It depends on how you look at it. We've got two players that are pretty similar. You know, they have some great kicks, they have some good kicks, and they have some bad ones. They have great days, they have bad, you know, when I say bad, inconsistent days. Neither one of the two place kickers have separated themselves completely yet. You know, that can be a bad thing, but I look at it as they both have strengths that can help our football team. And you know, by the time we're done with tomorrow's practice, we'll have a starting place kicker name.
And I'm sorry, the two are Andrew Hart and Bonagor?
Yes.
Okay.
And Justin Davidowitz has won our kickoff position. He will be our kickoff guy. But right now, it's Hart and Bonagor that are battling for the place kicking duties. And you know, again, Bonagor was here last year. Hart was not. He's a newcomer to the mix. Again, I like both of them. It just we're looking for the guy that will be the most consistent, and neither one of them has necessarily been consistent every single day of training camp. They've done well, and they've shown some really good. They've done some really good things. They've made some really big kicks in critical moments in scrimmages and in practice, but it's just who's going to be the most consistent. It's almost dead even right now.
Coach, going back to Kyle Bolin, have you noticed any difference in the week since he's been named the starting quarterback, now that, you know, it's getting to be game week prep and getting more and more Washington, and have you noticed anything, you know, an increased sense of anything from him? Or
No, I mean, he's pretty consistent. He's the same guy every day. And that's what I really like about him. You know, some of the great quarterbacks have been around. They're just consistent, never too high, never too low. They just go about doing their business every single day. And that's what I like about him. He's mature. Again, he's been here before, and it's not new, you know, to him. And sometimes you worry about that when you talk about a first-time player, a new starter. You know, when it actually gets to game week, game prep, you know, what happens, you know, to him. And haven't seen any changes in Kyle whatsoever. He's been leading and performing and preparing at a high level ever since he's gotten here.
Chris, I know we asked you about this last year. Second year opening against Washington, highly ranked team. I know there's drawbacks to it, but what positives are there? I mean, is it something where, you know, as far as a good measuring stick right away, or something your players can get motivated for? I mean, what are the positives to it?
I think all the things you just mentioned. You talk about the long off season, long summer workouts, long training camp. What's a motivating factor for the players? Open it up against a team like Washington. It's pretty motivating, especially when you played them last year and the results weren't necessarily what we wanted. They went on and had a great year. You know, we did. That's a motivation for our whole program, coaches and players alike, to be able to go back out, line up against a team like Washington again, and measure yourself. You know, Washington. You know, they're not going to determine the success or failures of our overall season, but to go out there in game one and play them again and measure your football team, the improvement hopefully that you see, that's a motivating factor for everybody.
Chris, how do you expect the strong side linebacker position to look for the opener? Which players are you looking at?
When you say strong side linebacker, you talk
for
about
Ross
our
and
Sam
for Eric,
position?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, Ross Douglas is our starting Sam. He has been the whole training camp.
So he'll play regardless. I mean, whether it's a short yardage or anything.
Yeah, I mean, all of our players, most of our players, if we're going to rotate or play multiple guys, it's situational. Third and long is different than third and short, and it's different than first down. So we have sub packages and several where different players could be on the field at different times based on situations. And right now, Ross Douglas is our starting outside Sam linebacker in certain situations and certain personnel groupings, and we'll have others that will play based on personnel groupings also.
Chris, backup quarterback, is there one right now? Is it still ongoing?
It's still ongoing, and it probably will be for the majority of at least the start of the season. It would anticipate that there's an opportunity for Jonathan and Gio both to potentially play in a game based on the situation. It is a nice luxury to have a backup quarterback that started so many games like Gio has, and been in games and done well. Specifically the Minnesota game last year. So that's a comfort. But we do want to get Jonathan Lewis in the games. How much in the first game will yet to be determined. But it won't be a surprise if at some point all three of those guys, not necessarily in one game, but could play throughout the first half of the season until we really get comfortable with what we're doing.
When you say get Jonathan, is it just, try to take advantage of his skill set, kind of get him some experience?
Well,
or-
it's all the above. I mean, the kid's a talented kid. If you're going to play another quarterback, there's got to be a reason. He has a different skill set than the other two quarterbacks. We do think he's going to have a chance to be a really good quarterback for us. I think again, his skill set brings a different element to our offense. And if we can take advantage of that and use that, we'll do that. If we don't think it's the right time, we won't. We're not going to force it just to say we're going to do it. But there are opportunities in situations where Jonathan Lewis could be in a football game. It could be the first one. It might not be the third or fourth. It depends on, talking about quarterbacks and how they handle game week finally, and being on national television, playing against a really good opponent. We don't know that about Jonathan Lewis yet. And we have to go through the week and see how he is doing before we say, hey, he's going to go in this game or that game.
We'll take two more questions.
I'm sorry, Chris, we keep asking about this, but we have to do our due diligence. Are you still confident that Kamoko will be out there on Friday?
I am. It's not 100% yet, but there's all indications that say that it will be. It hasn't been completely cleared yet, so there's still that slim chance that he might not be. He's practiced a lot during training camp. He's just been limited here lately, but he's feeling pretty good here right now. We'll find out tomorrow.
Turnover margin. How have you gone about trying to force more turnovers, keep the ball, and has that been an emphasis throughout training camp?
Yeah, it's been an emphasis the whole offseason. We talk about Rutgers can't beat Rutgers, and we talk about the things you have to do to win games. I talk to the players a lot about more games are lost than games are won, and a lot of it has to do with the turnover margin. More games are lost because you turn the ball over, and we did that too much. Last year we did it too much in this game against Washington last year. And you look at the final score and you try to figure out why. Well, there's several reasons. One, we didn't take care of the football. Two, a kicking game, we gave up explosive plays in the kicking game with 2 non-offensive touchdowns. But those 2 areas right there have been a major emphasis for us since the end of last season. They were an emphasis for us during the season, but we've done some different things within the program and our structure of practice and preparation to improve on our ball security, improve on our ability to take the ball away, and improve on our kicking game. And we're not just going to continue to do the same old thing. We did a lot of research, put a lot of time and effort in to trying to fix that, because that's not a talent thing. And what we as a staff and as a program are doing more right now on winning the turnover takeaway battle than anywhere I've been in my career, anywhere. And it's been a major, major emphasis. Now, will it work? We'll find out. We'll find out when the games start. But I can tell you we've invested an insane amount of time on holding on to the ball and taking the ball away, and it's been more than anywhere I've been.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.